And for this week, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Ever since I have started the animation podcast, I don't think I have ever faced a news report on the field of animation that is very tough to swallow. That honestly, this is the hardest to go and face. And this really did break the hearts of many movie fans, and especially with many animation fans, considering the person that we are talking about. And the subject in particular actually does revolve around the sexual activity that's been going on in the entertainment industry, with all the numerous of claims of sexual harassment and sexual assault and all that kind of stuff. Now, of course, we know some of the big ones right now, like with Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey, and recently with Jeffrey Tambor. But animation so far, we only got one. Maybe Louis C.K. as well, but the most prominent of the sexual predators among them is Chris Savino, the creator of The Loud House, who thankfully is fired from Nickelodeon. So this week, however, animation got hit with another big one though. And some of you might be curious, well, who could it be? Is it another show creator like Chris Savino? Well, no. Is it a prominent voice actor? No. Is it a well-known animator? No. Is it a big-name director and producer? Well, kind of, but no. How about try one of the most influential people in modern animation? I cannot believe I'm saying this, but let's talk about Chief Creative Officer of Pixar Animation Studios, Walt Disney Animation Studios, and Walt Disney Imagineering, John Lasseter. Yes, reports have been coming out that John Lasseter is going to be taking a 6-month break from working after going face-to-face with one problem that really did came back to haunt him, which is his acts of sexual misconducts within Pixar. Now, this week, there have been a lot of women who used to work at Pixar. They wish to remain anonymous, but they came up front in websites like The Hollywood Reporter and Variety, explaining about John Lasseter's creepy activities that he would do, in a way that they would say that John couldn't necessarily control himself in front of the pretty girls. Now, what John Lasseter has been accused of is actually a few creepy things, like the kind that would be like, if you've seen it, then you're stuck in a really awkward position. When John Lasseter, well, he is known to be a hugger, but he would be holding on to women's legs and would be grabbing women's thighs, and also he would be kissing women in the mouth. Like, he would greet them and just like, damn, just smack on the lips. And yeah, like, women had to go and just prepare themselves, like, if ever they would be faced with John Lasseter. Like, they would be in a certain position if John wants to go and hug them. They would have to immediately turn their heads if John Lasseter is just going for the kiss. So it just doesn't really look good. Now, technically, these things are not necessarily as bad as many of the other sexual predators in the entertainment industry. I mean, like, John Lasseter is not necessarily as bad as Harvey Weinstein or as Kevin Spacey, as Louis C.K. Like, there's no instances where he would get naked and suddenly we see a John Lasseter penis. Like, that never did happen, thank God. I mean, he's even better than Roy Moore and all his supporters who apparently support pedophilia. You know, he's not like any of those people, but that is not to undermine the fact that what he has done is definitely wrong and definitely creepy at the same time. And with that said, what happened, like, after, well, not after, but before he would go on his 6-month break, he did put out a memo to all of his employees, in which it is public here in The Hollywood Reporter, and let me go and read this to you. So, I have always wanted our animation studios to be places where creators can explore their vision with the support and collaboration of other gifted animators and storytellers. The kind of creative culture takes a constant vigilance to maintain. It's built on trust and respect, and it becomes fragile if any members of the team don't feel valued. As a leader, it's my responsibility to ensure that doesn't happen. And now I believe I have been failing short in this regard. I've recently had a number of difficult conversations that have been very painful for me. It's never easy to face your missteps, but it's the only way to learn from them. As a result, I have been giving a lot of thought to the leader I am today compared to the mentor, advocate, and champion I want to be. It's been brought to my attention that I have made some of you feel disrespected and uncomfortable. That was never my intent. Collectively, you mean the world to me, and I deeply apologize if I have let you down. I especially want to apologize to anyone who has ever been on the receiving end of an unwanted hug or any other gestures they felt crossed the line in any way, shape, or form. No matter how benign my intent, everyone has the right to set their own boundaries and have them respected. In my conversations with Disney, we are united in our commitment to always treat any concerns you have with the seriousness they deserve and to address them in an appropriate manner. We also share a desire to reinforce the vibrant, respectful culture that has been the foundation of our studio success since the beginning. And we agree the first step in that direction is for me to take some time away to reflect on how to move forward from here. As hard as it is for me to step away from a job I am so passionate about and a team I hold the highest regard, not just as artists but as people, I know it's the best thing for all of us right now. My hope is that a 6-month sabbatical will give me the opportunity to start taking better care of myself. Sorry about that. To recharge and be inspired, and ultimately return with the insight and perspective I need to be the leader you deserve. I'm immensely proud of this team, and I know you will continue to wow the world in my absence. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season and look forward to working together again in the new year. John. And with all that said, though, it is a better letter, a better response to all this than what Chris Savino did with his garbage letter that you could tell that he is flat out freaking lying. Like, this is better, and there is a little bit more sincere to it. But one thing that I do have to criticize in this letter is that John really does underplay what he has done. Like, pretty much the acts that he has done, like his sexual misconducts, like he pretty much labels them as like an unwanted hug or any other gesture they felt crossed the line in any way. Like, I just want to let you know, I am a hugger myself. Like, once I know someone, once I'm cool with them and I'm comfortable with someone, I am a hugger myself. I don't just shake hands. Like, I would full on hug them. But, I respect people if they don't want a hug. And the thing is that if you need a 6-month sabbatical after the poor behavior that you've been displaying in the place that you work in, I don't think that would be an unwanted hug. An unwanted hug, someone can just easily brush that off. But honestly, like, you've been grabbing legs, you've been grabbing thighs, you have been kissing them on the lips when they don't want to. Honestly, I don't think I would call that an unwanted hug. And also, on top of that, there is another thing that John Lasseter has been accused of, is that during parties, he would be known as a heavy drinker. Like, he doesn't drink often. Like, I'm not saying that John Lasseter is an alcoholic, and I don't think anybody would say that John Lasseter is an alcoholic. But usually during rap parties or social events or anything like that, John Lasseter would actually be the one to be known for having one too many drinks. And especially with his behavior of sexual misconduct, it's not really that good of a mix. Alcohol and touchy-feely kind of guy, that just doesn't work. That's really a bad combination. But honestly, I think, like, if there is one thing that is harder to swallow about all this, like with the whole John Lasseter controversy, is pretty much the treatment of women that's been going on at Pixar, where they have also stated that it does feel a little bit more like a boys' club. Now, I'm not saying that it's with all men that they treat women badly. It's mostly with John Lasseter's behavior where women do feel a bit uncomfortable and they feel a little bit more vulnerable. And that really is pretty bad, where women do get the lower end of the stick when they do work at Pixar. And that's probably one major thing that the company has to go and work on. I don't know if it's the same thing that's been happening at Walt Disney Animation Studios, but honestly, just hearing how women are treated a bit and not being taken as seriously as men are at Pixar, that honestly is a bit heartbreaking. And I wouldn't blame them if they would accuse Pixar for being a place that's a little bit misogynistic or a little bit sexist in that regard, where like women would be in a place that would be more objectified than actually be treated as an actual artist or animator. Now, that is something that they need to go and work on. And I think honestly, the organization Women of Animation really need to go and take a step forward, maybe have a discussion about Pixar in order to go and have a better environment for women in that area, or maybe just like in any Disney animation environment, to make sure that women are treated as equally as men, that they are seen as the like the prominent artists and creative geniuses that they are, instead of just walking boobs and butts. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing that I really do hope that they can go and fix. And in the case of John Lasseter, I'm going to be very honest. It looks like there's going to be a very strong chance that Disney is just going to let him have his 6-month break. And it is a little bit of a controversy, considering that John would just be taking a little vacation for 6 months and then go back to work afterwards. Because when it comes to all the sexual harassment allegations, we're pretty much used to, at this point, seeing the people have their careers be entirely destroyed on the spot. Like with Kevin Spacey, once he has been accused, like everything that he had completely destroyed. Like everything with Netflix, everything with all his other movies, like dead. Or with Louis C.K., when he opened up that like he was naked in the dressing room with ladies, like everything that he had, like his role in The Secret Life of Pets, all his TV shows that he had with FX, dead, right over there. But with John Lasseter, I mean, like I said before, it is a little bit controversial, considering that, yeah, the things that he has been accused of, they're not as bad as like Kevin Spacey or Louis C.K. or Harvey Weinstein. But at the same time, though, like, he would technically be a part of that category right over there. And some people don't think that he's not going to learn from all this. Like, he's going to be away for 6 months and then he could possibly come back as if, like, nothing happened. So that's where the controversy lays. It's just from the fear of people, if they don't know if John Lasseter would truly learn his lesson. But it seems like Disney is not gonna go and let him go. Like, they even did release a statement right over here saying that we are committed to maintaining an environment in which all employees are respected and empowered to do their best work. We appreciate John's candor and sincere apology and fully support his sabbatical. So it seems like Disney is just going to let him do his little break, maybe try to go and get him better, and then just be all in open arms to see him return. And honestly, I don't blame him, because, I don't blame Disney for doing that, because technically we are talking about John Lasseter. Like I said at the beginning, he is one of the most influential people in modern animation. I mean, this is the guy who directed and was the man behind Toy Story, the first ever computer animated feature. I mean, this man is heavily responsible for shaping what animation is today, the prominent film medium that is right now. And on top of that, this is also the guy who has shepherded both Disney and Pixar to be the best animation studios that are currently running right now, on top of being the guy shepherding some of the biggest animated films in recent years, including Frozen, Zootopia, Toy Story 3, Finding Dory, and so much more. Like, this guy is honestly too important to let go. At least what he does in the animation field, it is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, there are some little problems of sexual misconducts, but his contribution is just too big to just fire him. And rather, if you're okay with that or not, like, that can be your opinion, but that's just honestly how Disney would feel and why they couldn't let go of John Lasseter, because he's putting Disney and Pixar at such an amazing pace, and they don't want to lose that. I mean, sure, we've heard about the rumors that potentially maybe after John Lasseter would retire, or if he would be out of his job, then Pete Docter might be the one to take his place. But for now, if John Lasseter is still going strong to actually go and work, then they're still going to use him. So chances are, no, John Lasseter is not going to be fired. But at this point, if that is the case, then personally, I think the only thing that we can do is just hope for the best for John Lasseter. To hope that he really did actually learn his lesson, so that during the sabbatical, he would actually go and get some psychiatric help to go and, have a bit of an intervention, to go talk with people, to have a little bit of a discussion, to have some training in order to have that sexual misconduct mindset out of him, so that he could actually stop. And I think that's the only thing that we can go and hope for John Lasseter, and hopefully that when he does return, it will be a better environment at Pixar and Disney and the other places. I'm just hoping for the best for everyone, not just for John Lasseter, but also for the female employees working at Pixar, so that the pretty ladies, or the pretty girls as they would say in these articles, would be treated as great creative geniuses instead of, again, just walking boobs and butts. That hopefully their talent do match their beauty, but that we would pay more attention to their talent. So that's honestly overall that I can hope for, thinking both realistically and a bit optimistically, that maybe John Lasseter can really learn his lesson. And I mean, for God's sakes, as he is one of the most influential people in modern animation, like, I can understand that this is seriously heartbreaking for so many people, that they would read this news and they would be entirely crushed to see that John Lasseter would do this kind of behavior. And honestly, I don't blame them. But again, the only thing that we can do right now is just hope for the best for both the women of animation, that they can have a better environment, and for John Lasseter, that he truly does learn his lesson, and that when he goes back to work, he can forget about the pretty girls in his mind, and that he would just go straight to work in making amazing animated projects. But I am not done yet. There is also one additional comment that I want to make, in which an additional controversy actually did occur after all this actually did reported. And honestly, this person right over here is actually getting a lot more hate than John Lasseter right now. Because ever since these reports actually came out, that John Lasseter actually did some sexual misconducts and that he is taking a 6-month sabbatical, Cartoon Brews amid a MIDI would go on social media and cause nothing but an entire Disney bashing rampage. Like, tweet after tweet, post after post. Like, all he would do is just nothing but slam John Lasseter, slam Disney, and slam all the higher-ups for what John Lasseter has done. Like, he just wants to see them be destroyed. And ever since then, the entire animation community just had enough. Just pretty much calling out on his bullcrap and pretty much unfollowing him everywhere, like on Facebook, on Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, even for me, I feel like this is just crossing the freaking line. I know about Amity's past and how he would, go and do his work in a way, but honestly, I'm just sick and tired of it. Like, I know that I can be harsh on Sony Pictures at times, but my god, Amity is nothing more but an unprofessional, idiotic hack. Like, honestly, he is not a journalist at all. Like, he is a major disservice to freaking animation in general. He doesn't care about the women that have been treated badly at John Lasseter. He doesn't even care about any artists working at Pixar at all. All he cares about is being a bully, to go and bash John Lasseter and to take down Pixar whatsoever. Just take down the higher-ups at Disney. I mean, seriously, the way that he would constantly whine and complain about how Disney is big and all that stuff, like, all he's doing is just bullying all the people at Pixar. And again, he doesn't care about like the condition of artists and stuff like that. He cares more about taking down people that are bigger and more successful than him. And that's what makes him unprofessional and a total disgrace in the field of animation and journalism. So what I want to ask you guys is to go and just boycott Cartoon Brew. In fact, I am going to make a vow right now that for the animation podcast, I will never be using Cartoon Brew as a source again. Like, if it wants to be freaking TMZ run by a guy with the same mental capacity as Alex Jones, then honestly, I'm not gonna go in. I'm not gonna support something like that. And if you guys are wondering, well, if I'm gonna go and boycott Cartoon Brew, then where can I get my animation news? Well, that is actually simple, because there are plenty of other websites out there that are actually run by people who are more mentally functioning than Amity. There's, of course, the Animation Scoop, such a phenomenal website run by Jerry Beck, one of the most beloved animation historians. There is also Rotoscopers, truly is a website made for animation fans, by animation fans, and plus the fact that there are some really awesome people at Rotoscopers. There's also the Animation Magazine, in which, in that place, they have, like, decades worth of, animation journalism behind them. Like, not just on the internet, but also, like, you can actually get a subscription where you can buy the Animation Magazine as a magazine. Other places like Animation Views, Animation World News, just so, the options are out there, but probably my main recommendations are the Animation Scoop, well, Cartoon Research as well, because that's kind of like the spin-off website to the Animation Scoop, Rotoscopers, and Animation Magazine. As long as you go on those three websites right over there, then you can get more than enough of your animation news. I'd also recommend Katsuka as well. That's another good one. Just don't go to freaking Cartoon Brew anymore, as long as it's run by that freaking guy right over there. As long, like, if they kick out Amity, if he's no longer on Cartoon Brew, then that's the moment when it's actually safe to go and actually go to Cartoon Brew. Because I have nothing against Cartoon Brew, it's just I have something against Amity, where he has no care for the artist at all, and he just cares to be a bully to people that are bigger than him. And if you don't believe me, then look at the controversy with Justin Roiland and Adult Swim. So that's kind of the big lesson to take from all this. Just hope that John Lasseter can actually recover himself and that he would take away his acts of sexual misconduct, and please, never go to Cartoon Brew. Instead, go and listen to the Animation Podcast.